always think on mornings like this, you ought to just put away whatever you were going to teach on and teach on thankfulness. Because, man, I grew up dairy farming, and I know what the cold is all about. And the fact that we had warm houses, we had running water, our vehicles started.
Yeah.
You know, the list goes on and on. The things that we don't, although our vehicle ain't exactly what we wanted, we'll be glad it started.
Yeah.
Because I've had the mornings when they don't.
Yeah.
But this time of year gets busy. Honestly, I don't know if we should even say that anymore. It seems like every season of the year is busy now. But if we don't look out, you get around the holidays and you get so worried about getting to all the family functions and all the Christmas gatherings and trying to figure out what to buy somebody for Christmas and who's going to be upset you didn't get the right thing or you didn't get enough, or on and on and on and on. And as I've heard over and over and over, oh, I ain't got Christmas bought yet. Well, guess what? You ain't never going to get Christmas bought. You might buy some presents, but you're never going to buy Christmas.
That's right, amen.
You know what? Candace and I both like to give people things.
Sure.
Including our kids.
Sure.
But Christmas isn't about how much you give somebody. You know, I had a coworker at one time asked me how much we had spent on Christmas, and at that time we had 3 kids at the house, and I said $50 a piece. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, why didn't you spend any more? I said, because we didn't have any more in the budget. That's what was there to spend. We didn't get each other anything, but we got something for the kids. And he said, well, I wish I could get away with that. I said, well, how much did you spend on your 2 kids? He said, $5,000. Just because he didn't want to be outdone by somebody else. And I said, well, you've long since forgot what Christmas is all
That's
about.
right.
Which that's all kind of just free, I don't know. The title of my Sunday school deal was going to be, Do We Lose Track of God in the Noise of Life? And in Isaiah, well, actually, let's not go to that one yet. Let's go to, if someone could look up Matthew 11:28 and 29, and I'm going to go to Matthew 14. Yeah, it must have been pretty cold. My Bible got cold sitting in the car. It ain't warmed up yet. But you know, honestly, there's a lot of people this morning that are sleeping under a railroad bridge,
Yeah.
sleeping under an overpass,
Yeah.
sleeping. We do have a
Yes,
lot
thank God.
to be thankful
Yes.
for.
We do.
In Matthew 14, I was in a hurry and didn't write down the verse. It'll be down, it's about when Jesus walked on the water. I'll give a little bit of a condensed version. But the storm come up, the life got rough, and all the disciples, they were giving up. Well, when they finally figured out it was Jesus in the middle of the storm, Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, come. If you drop down to, it'd be Matthew 14, verse 30. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink, and he cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? You know, when life got rough all the way around him, he quit looking at Jesus and looked at the water and he sunk. And a lot of times when life gets rough all the way around us and the storm's up and your focus drifts from where it's supposed to be, and next thing you know, you can't keep your head above water and you wonder why. It's because we tend to get things out of order. Did someone find Matthew 11:28?
Yes.
All right.
Matthew 11:28. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and thou shalt find rest unto your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
What does verse 28 describe anybody's life ever?
Oh, yes.
All ye that are labor and are heavy laden.
Right.
There's some of us that it seems like we live for that 5 minutes to sit down. We run and run and run. And why are we doing it? Are we doing it to help ourselves? Are we doing it to put money in the bank? Are we doing it to try to help other people? But sometimes we load ourselves down with such a load that we wonder why we break under it. There's a difference when you take his yoke, when you take the burden he puts on you to carry, because we all do have a burden to carry. But is the burden you're carrying yours or his? Is it one that you picked up or one that he's given you? There is no way I'm going to get through all this without condensing it somewhat. Losing track, getting overwhelmed by daily demands, losing sight of goals, and forgetting your true calling. That forgetting your true calling hit me pretty hard. And I've added to this. I've been working on this a little bit. I was sitting back there while we was waiting for the church to warm up, and I was still adding to it. So it's an ongoing thing, though. That's the thing with some of these messages, is they're not 5 minutes out of your life. It is something you walk the rest of your life. But too many times we forget what our true calling is. Peter's true calling was not to walk on water. It was to get to Jesus.
Right.
And then he seen the water and he lost. Things that cloud our focus, which somebody spoke about focus here lately, aren't always bad things. Many times what clouds our focus are good things that have gotten out of proper perspective.
Yeah.
It gets out of the place that it's supposed to be in. Work, though necessary, can slowly be devouring the rest of your life.
Yes.
If you don't look out, work can become a monster that eats everything around it.
Yes.
And I've spoke about this before, sometimes to individuals. The temptation is to tell yourself that God commands you to work. If we are to eat, we are to work. If we don't provide for our families, we are worse than an infidel. And we are also called to help support the church and the widows in it. In this day and age, if you want to do all that, you're going to put some hours in at work.
Yeah.
That's true.
And also, it's commanded to do everything that we do with our whole heart and give it all you got. And we can get sucked into doing a little bit more and a little bit more and then more. And you look back and you think, how in the world did I get this far? And then we get God out of his rightful place. It gets from we're following his commandments to where we are trying to replace what he does in our life.
Oh, wow.
We start trying to fill the needs in our life instead of walking in the path that he's put us to walk.
Come on.
Jesus.
You know, other people, they start losing track in hobbies. Hobbies can be good. Hobbies can be a necessary break to
Yes.
refresh your mind,
Yes.
to get away from the daily grind, is this all there is in life? However, we know a lot of people that the hobbies eat time,
Yeah.
money, and attention that is needed elsewhere. Good hobbies can be productive, and it can be something that allows you to decompress from the grind of life.
Yeah.
But can you afford the hobby? Can you afford the time? You have to keep things in perspective. I used to And this is just me personally. Not everybody feels the same way. I used to, well, it's deer season, I'll go hunting. It's 1 or 2 Sundays out of the year. It's not a big deal. Anymore, I may go early and change out of my hunt clothes in the parking lot, but I will do my absolute best to be in the church when it opens. It is a hobby. It's a productive hobby. There are several people that eat off of my hobby,
Yes.
but I need to keep it where it belongs. Another thing that gets our lives so busy that sometimes we lose track of God is our families. Our families are a gift from God, but sometimes we put them in front of God.
Yes.
Instead of bringing them before Him and trusting Him to work it out for them, we try to do it ourselves. And we've all of us that has had children have seen them get in a spot and you're like, oh Lord, what are we going to do to help them out of this one? And we got to drive 1,000 miles. We got to drive, whatever it is. And well, they need us. We have to get it. And just the frantic, oh my gosh, we got to take care of our kid. Now we have to have wisdom on knowing what we're actually called to help do. The thing is, God calls us to love our family, but He does not call us to take His place in our family's life. And too many times we try to be God in our family. Do we actually trust Him? Or do we think that we need to make sure He understands what He needs to do in our kid's situation?
Help us, Lord.
Yep, they call us mothers again.
It ain't just mothers that have done that. Or do we try to work out every little problem because we're addicted to being in control and in charge? And if we lose control, our world suddenly is spinning out of control and more than likely on fire. There's sometimes that the idea of opening your hand up and not trying to control every little thing terrifies people. Some people are more than glad to sit back and let everybody else take care of it. But when you are a driven person that feels called to help people, sometimes you get to helping people out of
Self,
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
and you get it out of perspective. The thing is another thing is that we can put pleasing others in front of God. He calls us to love them. He calls us to help them. He calls us to try to provide. But you better make sure that God told you that that's what you're supposed to be doing right then. Because there has been times in the past that I have got so tied up in trying to do stuff. I had a list. And I was looking at that list. I was like, how in the world am I going to get to all these people? In time it got done, I had actually kind of upset some of the people because I had overloaded myself and I didn't have enough minutes in the day to get to them. But I told them I was going to, so I didn't want to come back and say, no, I'm not. I'm pretty sure there's several of those. If I'd have been like, God, should I really volunteer? He'd have been like, no. And when it comes to helping, it's so easy to get off track on that. Because Jesus said, as much as you've done it unto one of mine, you've done it unto me. So you want to try to help everybody you can help. But the thing is we have to make sure that we're not enabling the wrong choices and poor decisions.
Wrong people.
I know we've all tried to help somebody that we know that they made a bad choice that put them there. And it's one thing to help them out once and tell them, hey, this is where you went wrong. you really need to think about this, but if they just blunder right off into it again,
Yeah.
sometimes we pull people out of spots that God allowed them to get in so that He can get their attention. And about the time He gets them to where they have to turn to something, whether they're going to turn to Him or whatever, they finally get to that spot and we jump in and bail them out.
Yeah.
And they're like, well,
Yeah.
here we go. I
There
caught
you
my
go.
breath. I healed up. Let's
Yeah.
go again.
Come on. Come on.
And the thing is so much of this takes discernment and wisdom because
Yes, it
we are
does.
called to do every one of these things,
Yes,
but we have to keep them in the right perspective.
In moderation.
And this is something that we all know, but we don't like to admit, is sometimes we put church things in front of God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on. Good works. Yeah. Come on.
There's times that things need done, but we need to ask Him, did He call us to do that? Or are you just doing it so sister so-and-so don't mess it up? There's a lot of things that we do because we don't trust anybody else to do
Come
them.
on.
Now, there is places where you have to put somebody in charge of something that you trust them to do it. You know, Betty would never ask me again to teach Sunday school if she asked me if I would, and I said, yeah, I'll do that, and then get here and be like, well, I was going to, but, you know, we went to Springfield, and we got back late, and you think maybe you can ask Dennis if he would? You know, it wouldn't be long, she'd be like, no, we can't trust him to do it. So you do need to have somebody that you trust to do the stuff that has proven themselves worthy.
True.
But we need to make sure that we're not micromanaging.
Well, that's good too.
When you juggle work, families, household responsibilities, doctor's visits, school trips, cooking meals, doing the laundry, shopping, paying bills, helping others, a couple hobbies, a little TV, maybe some Facebook, scrolling through TikTok,
You're already too full.
and then you're going to sit down and read your chapter because you have to.
Well, that's not good.
Are you doing it because you want to? Or if I don't read my chapter, I'm going to feel bad and feel convicted. Well, here's the thing. You should feel convicted, but reading that chapter, when you're just doing it because you have to, probably you ain't going to get a whole lot out of it.
That is true.
In all this rushing around, how much time does God get? You know, and the thing is, work, family, responsibilities, you know, household responsibilities, cooking meals, laundry, shopping, paying bills, helping others, all that is stuff that we have to do.
Yeah.
It's how do you handle it when you do it. But in all this rushing around, how much time does God really get? You know, in the morning it's, good morning, God, and I hope you're ready to bless my busy day. Noon comes, hey, God, sorry. I mean, we haven't really touched base yet, but I will before I go to bed. And now I lay me down to,
Sleep.
and you passed out sleeping already. I actually have the snoring emoji on my deal. You know, and sometimes that's the way we do. We're like, oh, man, I'm going to get a couple minutes here. And next thing you know, the day has got away from you. And as anybody knows with a habit, they all start with one time. Once you've done something once, it's far easier to do it again. We all do have busy, hectic lives at times. But no one is ever called to live in a constant state of emergency and crisis 24/7, 365 days a year.
Right.
And all this is stuff that is the bad side of it. Now, getting back on track. Okay, we'll go back and read. Does anybody here know Isaiah 26:3 by heart?
Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because I trusteth in thee.
There you go. Very, very good. How many times have you had to tell yourself that over and over and over? Okay, then being Sandy had that one waiting. I think she had that, she must have known I was gonna use that. She was waiting on me. But, you know, that is the truth, is if you keep your mind stayed on Him, it doesn't say your life will be at perfect peace.
No.
Your mind will be at perfect peace. There may be chaos going, there may be the storms and the waves going all around you. But your mind is stayed on Him, and He will keep you at perfect peace. Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And you know, sometimes when we lose track of God in the busyness of life, it's because our heart isn't stayed on Him, and there's things that we have more important. If we were actually worried about God throughout the day, we wouldn't lose track of Him. When you take your kid to a big town, you got your hand on them because you don't want to lose track of them. You keep your hand on, you focus on that child. Getting back on track when we have lost sight of Him. Sometimes we have to set some small goals with small steps, get small things done. We need to create a routine. I am a person, believe it or not, as busy as my life gets, I am very routine oriented. I get up at 5 till 4 in the morning, and I have my process I go throughout the day, and I try to keep it lined up. I try to be at work at a certain time, and we stay working. We take very, very few breaks because I have a time when I want to be off. And if I throw any of that out, if I don't get ready for work the same way every morning, I'll get in the truck and get halfway to town and realize I forgot something. If you create a routine, it's a lot easier to get your things done because you realize where you're wasting time, that you could make things more efficient.
Good.
One thing we need to do is we need to limit distractions, and we need to practice mindfulness to stay present in the small moments, reclaim the joy and the purpose in the chaos of life. If you wait to have stillness, or if you're waiting for a period of stillness to have peace,
You're not gonna have it.
you are doomed to a life
Yeah.
filled with stress
Yes.
and hectic rushing
Yes.
around.
That's right.
We need to take time to reflect and reassess our life.
Nice.
What have we got out of perspective? What are things that are good in smaller doses than what we're doing? What are things that is just a drain on your life, just a parasite that's sucking things away that you're getting nothing back out of? And the thing is we need to celebrate the small wins. When you do get the time, that little extra special time to spend away, you need to enjoy that instead of, while you have your time away that you're spending away, thinking about how busy you're going to be when you get home, because then all you've done is just waste time.
Yeah.
And another thing that we need to do is periodically we need to stop and see if our path that we're walking is lining up with the goals that we have in mind. And sometimes we see people that they have something they're wanting to get to, and they're heading the complete opposite direction. You know, there's a person in mind that one day wants to be out of debt. One day they want to no longer have to stress about money. But every decision that they make is like they're headed the exact opposite direction. And I've tried to talk to him about it, tried to get him to understand that you will never have financial security if you keep using every ounce of credit you have.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't say, I want to get out of debt and then go buy another truck. You know, sometimes you have to realize that, hey, I have to keep going with what I got right now. I may want something else, and God may allow me to have it in the future, but what I got right now is good enough.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have made their lives so chaotic because they filled it up with so many bills
Yes.
that they no longer have a chance to sit down.
Jesus.
Another thing is pray without ceasing. And a lot of us struggle with that. We're not called to own. I don't even, there it is. No way I'm getting through here. We're not called to pray only in crisis.
No.
When the world crashes in on us is not when we're called to pray.
No.
But when it says pray without ceasing, and this, I was trying to think how to word it. I was fighting how to word it. And then I was looking through stuff and this popped up and I thought that is the best way I've seen it put. All throughout the day, keep a running conversation with him.
Yes.
Another thing is, if you want to cut through the noise of life, try a little praise and a little worship and giving thanks for the small things.
Yes. Yes.
It helps us stay aware of the true source of our
Yes, it
victory
does.
and success.
Yes.
If you're praising God for what he's done in your life, you're not near as apt to think that you've done it all by yourself
Right.
and that it all
That's
rests on you to
Right.
do.
That's true.
We are called to trust in his promises. He has promised to be there through the storm, not just waiting for you on the other side when you come out.
Exactly.
There's so many people seem to think that they're in the middle of the storm by themselves and that when I get through this, God's testing me, and when I can finally bull through this storm on my own, he'll be waiting on me. No, he's with you
Yes,
in
he
it.
is. Amen.
And we need to learn to surrender the perceived control that we think we have over everything in our life.
Yeah.
We create stress and anxiety thinking that we know what God's ultimate plan for us is. And then once you think you know what he's got planned for you, you try to force that outcome. That may not be what God's calling you to.
No.
To know for sure.
Yes, there is times that we know God's called us to something, and then we're called to put our head down and bow up and do our best to make it happen. But a lot of times, we want to think that what we think is God's ultimate plan for us is what we would really like to see
That's it right
ourselves.
there, Brother John.
Another thing is we are called to depend on God. We do need his help, and we tend to lose track of him, thinking of all the things that we have to get done. And then once we get done, we'll finally have more time to spend with him. If you're waiting until you get some of the stuff done in your life so you got more time to spend with God, your life will get fuller and fuller and fuller. And we think that when we get more done, we will have more time to spend with him, instead of just walking with him now through the hustle and bustle of life. You know, when we spend time with friends, often we do it engaging in activities.
Yeah.
You have friends over and you have a barbecue, you have a cookout, you sit and play games. You go kayaking, you go walk at the park, there is times when you have friends over and you sit down on the couch and that's all you do. But a lot of times you have them over engaging in activities with you. Why do we want to think that God only wants to spend time with us when we're sitting still? He knows everything we have that he knows that we need to get done in our life. You think he actually wants you to just put him on the shelf until you get done and then, okay, now everything's stopped, I have time to sit.
That is good. Yes, that's good.
And another thing that we're called to do is to spend time with fellow believers. We're told not to forsake the assembling of the believers in Matthew 10:25, and I don't near have time to read all this. You know, the thing is we tend to become like the people we hang out with. I heard a really neat saying from somebody. If you're with 9, you will likely become the 10th. And I thought, boy, that's pretty good. I mean, I've heard it put many different ways, but I thought that was really good. If you are hanging around with 9 people that are acting in a certain way, you will likely become the 10th person. We are to walk in the path that God has laid before us and pray without ceasing. So many times we get distracted in life because we're walking the path that we've laid in front of us and that we've allowed other people to lay in front of us. You know, there's
Josh, you know, to pray without ceasing don't mean we have to be asking God for something continually, but thanking Him for what He's already done for us, thanking Him for what He's going to do for us, giving Him the praise and glory that He deserves. And you know, that's part of the praying. It's just having communication with God.
Well, and the other thing is I think walking in a state of thankfulness is a form of praise.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
When you're sitting, you know, as you all know, I work outside. And how many times does it cross your mind, man, this is just a beautiful day? Well, that was pretty neat to see that bird go by. That was pretty neat to see this happen. That was, and it's just things that if you didn't see them, your life would be empty. And we don't realize a lot of times it's those little details. It's kind of like the other morning, Candace had called me on the way to work. And we were talking about the sky. She took a picture of a beautiful sunrise. Where I was, it was gray. It was foggy.
This is good.
It was gray. It was overcast. I'm trying to remember exactly how I told her. But you know, I got to thinking there's a special beauty in that too.
It's just sitting and watching these things and being in His presence. You don't even really have to say anything. Your spirit is just overjoyed because of the goodness of God, and that's praise.
Yes,
It's praise.
yes. And that's where we so many times miss God. We think if we don't get together and have a Thanksgiving service that we ain't thanking God enough. It's the little moments in your life. But if we walk in the path that God has laid out for us, not the path that we've laid in front of us, and not the path that we've allowed other well-meaning or using people to lay in front of you. If you don't look out, there are people that will be, and I've said it over and over again, that if you're willing to do it, there are people that are willing to let you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you don't look out, you're enabling their laziness. And you will sit there and do everything for the person that should have got up and done it for themselves. And by the time you realize you no longer have time left for God because you spent doing for other people things He has never called you to do in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
I'm going to try to wrap this up. And if we walk in His path and we pray without ceasing, we are very unlikely to become overwhelmed by daily life. And I'm going to
Yes.
stop it there.